Hey, what's up guys, Irish Turtle here, and welcome to Battlefield 1 gameplay, 10 things you may have missed. So, as you may or may not know, EA have just had their E3 conference, and right after had an hour or so's worth of live gameplay, which was attended by some big YouTubers and celebrities to play the 3 matches that they had. So, after watching this, I decided, as the title suggests, I would cover 10 things you may have missed that I personally found interesting or thought weren't covered very much in the gameplay. Obviously, these are just the things I first picked out after watching it through the first time, and if you have anything else you saw during the gameplay that people might have missed, feel free to let me know in the comments below, so I can maybe do another video covering it, or just so people can find out about it in the comments. So, let's get straight into the list. And at number 1, we have the fact that all of the buildings' interiors seem to be enterable. Now obviously this is only implied by the fact that all the doors that the players came across during the gameplay had the press E to open symbol on them. But obviously we can sort of infer that most of the buildings will be enterable. And it's just kind of cool because it means the fact that obviously the interiors of all these buildings are going to be fleshed out, and we can sort of use them for cover and sort of dart in and out of them as you're playing. And it sort of opens up this expanded area to play in where you can sort of shoot players from different locations. And at number 2, it kind of comes straight onto that, and that's the idea that we can actually smash open doors if we're running at them. So as you just saw there, the player just opened the door with his elbow, and the fact that this is in the game is actually pretty awesome because it means that we're actually going to speed up and see a lot faster gameplay going on because we can actually enter buildings at a quicker pace than we ever used to be able to. So obviously it kind of means that we're going to see these awesome little moments where you might be chasing down a player, they might close a door and you just run in and smash the door open behind them and get the kill, or if you're being chased by an enemy and the door's closed in front of you, you can obviously run through it and smash it open, and it offers up these kind of emergent sort of almost cinematic kind of moments where you're being chased and you're opening doors as you're running, jumping through windows, and it just seems like quite a cool idea, and I think it'll be quite interesting to see how well it works in the full game when it's finally released. At number 3, we have something that is a new mechanic to the game, and that is the high vault, as you can see just here, where the player pulls himself to a position above where he was actually standing. This is quite an interesting new idea because it means that we're actually going to be able to see players getting up to higher locations that we've not maybe been able to get to before. Maybe in other maps it means that we're actually going to be able to see snipers getting into positions that are higher up and sniping down on players that people might not actually expect. So I think it's definitely something to watch. And at number 4, we have the fact that a lot of the buildings in this game seem to have second levels to them. So it actually means that there's a lot of height difference in this game, and there's a lot of different levels that we can actually consider when we're playing. And it's the fact that, as you can see here in the bar, you've got a ladder, on the building to the left you've got a second level to it, to the right you've got obviously this big windmill which you can see has got a top level to it, and obviously we can sort of imply that there's a lot of second levels to these buildings that people can hide in and shoot out of. So we've got a level of verticality in this game that we've actually not seen fully sort of fleshed out in a Battlefield game for a while. And again here you can see this house has got a second level to it, again, that people can shoot out of. You've got another large windmill and actually quite a large hill that people can shoot down on, which obviously isn't something new to the Battlefield franchise, but it's something interesting. And again here in this blimp shot you can see again all of these 2-story buildings with windows to shoot out of. So it's definitely something that we're going to have to watch, and it's pretty cool to know that a lot of these buildings are going to have multiple levels from, that we're actually going to have to watch for snipers and other shooters. And at number 5 we have the unique vehicle entry. So as the gameplay went on, there were several vehicles we saw people getting into and out of, and it basically there were lots of different animations for the entries, which is pretty cool to see, to be honest. It's a nice little bit of a touch. Whether or not these stay in at the full release we'll have to see, and only time will tell, and I can't wait to see more of these as more info on the game is released up until release day. So at number 6 we have specific vehicle damage. So this is basically the idea that we can destroy certain parts of a vehicle without actually destroying it. So in the clips you just saw there, the guy actually just destroyed the tracks of the vehicle, not the full thing, until the second grenade went off. So the idea here is basically, as I said, we're actually able to disable vehicles, hopefully, without actually fully destroying them. And the benefit to this is it means that characters who maybe don't have the artillery or the resources to destroy a bigger vehicle can still disable it and put it out of action for a period of time without actually having the stress of having to get that bigger artillery. And also it opens up these venues of ideas where squads can play together, and you can have people disabling a vehicle by shooting out its, or grenading its tracks, or shooting out its wheels if it's a smaller vehicle, and then you can have the people with the larger artillery coming in and hitting these targets because they've been disabled and destroying them fully. I think it's an interesting add-on to the game, and I think it's going to open up some really interesting gameplay tactics and sort of the stuff that squads can sort of practice around and get good at taking out vehicles without actually having the ordnance they need. It's definitely going to be interesting to see when the game comes out, and I think it's a really important feature that probably could have done with a bit more highlighting during the actual gameplay. Now, number 7 on the list is something to do with the weather effects that were obviously mentioned during the gameplay, and obviously were showcased, or at least 2 of them were. Now, obviously there is the foggy one, weather-wise, and there is also the rain. Now, personally, the two, I think the rain just makes the game look absolutely awesome, and the thing that I want to talk about that you might have missed was obviously the water decals on the guns when it was raining. Now, obviously, you could probably see this quite a lot during the gameplay, but it just looks absolutely awesome if you actually look at that gun, and if you look at this one just here. You can't deny it does make the guns look absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see this effect on all the other guns, and maybe on the vehicles as well. At number 8, we have the fact that the blimps can actually drop bombs on the opposition on the ground. And this was something that's very small, and it might be hard to see, but if you watch the centre one, you've just seen a bomb has just dropped at the bottom of the blimp. And this is absolutely awesome, because it's the fact that you're going to be able to drop artillery on the enemy team, and again, you've seen it here, but you can see the explosion actually impact the ground and make like a fog as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how well these blimps can actually be used to actually dominate the battlefield and have a little bit of control with this extra bit of artillery that they provide. At number 9, we're back looking at the blimps, and more specifically the fact that the gondolas on the blimps can actually be shot off so they become useless. So as you can see here in this cinematic shot of the blimp, the left hand side was just smoking a bit on the gondola, and actually what you then see is the fact that it snaps in half and plummets to the ground. Now, that is pretty cool to see. It means that you can actually shoot off specific platforms on the blimp and take out either the bombs or the machine guns as you see fit. So if you coordinate with your air force or your ground forces to shoot one specific gondola, you could actually render that weapons platform specifically on the blimp inert and actually help your team out if, like, say they're getting bombed too much or if they're getting machine gunned too much. It's actually a really cool thing to see, and I think teams that coordinate well to take out that blimp will actually benefit really, really well. And at number 10, we have the fact that explosions actually cause the land to change shape. As you just saw in that picture there, a bomb just hit the ground and there's a little bit of a deformed crater in the ground. And again here, as the explosions go off around the tank, you actually see small craters begin to form. And then when the tank actually finally explodes itself, it causes an even bigger crater to form, which is actually really cool because it means as the explosions happen and as the game progresses, you'll get these craters that can actually be used as cover as the game progresses. And eventually, we'll probably see in game modes or servers where the matches last longer, in the areas that are most likely to be used, you'll actually see more barren areas where the ground gets more and more deformed. Certain houses will have the insides blown out, as you can see there, and you'll get maps that will just look absolutely destroyed by the end of the playtime, which to think about is really awesome. It'll mean the level change from how it starts to how it finishes will just look absolutely awesome. And that about wraps it up for this 10 things you may have missed during the Battlefield 1 gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for more content. Also, again, as I said at the start, if you saw anything during the gameplay yourself that you think people might have missed or that I didn't talk about, let me know in the comments below, and again, if I get enough things, I might do another video mentioning those as well. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.